This is the CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer substituting for Dan Rather.
Good evening. This afternoon, the White House released the first photo of the president since he was wounded. He had some fever today, but it's back down, and he appears to be rebounding well. We're going to have more on that in just a bit, but first, however, there's been some ominous news about the situation in Poland. And for that, we begin with Diane Sawyer at the State Department.
CBS News has learned that U.S. intelligence has now picked up the start of a Soviet military airlift into southwest Poland. Sources say large Soviet aircraft have been landing today at Legnica, a military airbase, presumably to deliver helicopters and other large equipment. This ominous sign came as the Reagan administration said that Soviet troops around Poland are now poised for action, ready to move in if the order is given. And congressional sources tell CBS News that the intelligence community is now speculating that order may be given in the next 2 to 7 days. At the State Department, however, the spokesman was more cautious, saying an invasion is not inevitable, but adding this word of concern.
The Soviet reaction time has been reduced as a result of measures that they have, steps that they have taken recently, to the point that they could move at any time if they so chose.
Intelligence experts say nearly 200,000 Soviet soldiers are now ready to cross the Polish border in 2 days' notice. They say another 300,000 could follow within 2 weeks if the Poles put up resistance. There are Warsaw Pact naval forces to the north and large stockpiles of ammunition and other equipment lined up on Russian roads ready to pour into Poland. In the meantime, the Soviet propaganda machine continues to criticize the Polish government and invent a popular demand for tougher action. U.S. experts speculate that at a minimum, some Soviet troops may cross the Polish border and just stand by. At the worst, they say, there could be a full-scale invasion. We're clearly back on the roller coaster again, one official said, and this time we're prepared to take the ride. Diane Sawyer, CBS News at the State Department.
The White House said tonight that President Reagan was briefed on the Polish development in his hospital room today, and the State Department repeated its warning that any Soviet intervention would have, quote, the gravest consequences for East-West relations. A threatened Soviet military invasion of Poland was very much on the mind of West German Foreign Minister Genscher today. He held a Kremlin meeting with Soviet President Brezhnev, and we have more on the story there from Gordon Josoloff.
Brezhnev's meeting with the West German foreign minister provided no public clues as to Soviet intentions regarding Poland. But there are plenty of clues in the Soviet press, and they all point to eventual Soviet-led intervention. Westerners say a Soviet press campaign to prepare the Soviet people ideologically for intervention has entered a new stage. The Communist Party newspaper Pravda said, although tension has eased in Poland, the Polish people are still voicing grave concern over the situation. The implication is that the people demand stiff action against counter-revolutionaries, but Poland's communist leaders are not responding. The Pravda article followed by 24 hours the first direct criticism here of Polish communists, alleging that they have been ideologically soft toward anti-socialist elements. As one Western diplomat puts it, the pieces are now rapidly falling into place. Adds another, the Soviets see Poland undergoing step-by-step counter-revolution. Their response is step-by-step intervention. Gordon Josoloff, CBS News, Moscow.
On the Polish side of the border with the Soviet Union, all seems quiet. Farmers are too busy with spring planting and too pleased with the fact that good weather has allowed them to start earlier this year than last to pay much attention to those stories from abroad about a Soviet buildup. In places like Biała Podlaska, about 23 miles from the border, people shrug off the idea of a Soviet invasion. One man asked, why should they come? An occasional Soviet military vehicle passes, like these 2 Army fuel tankers. 2 days ago, a farmer says, he saw a column of Soviet Army trucks heading in the direction of Warsaw. But most of the traffic to or from the east today appeared to be civilian. Jet fighters just inside Poland could be Polish or Russian. The planes look the same. From this point, it's impossible to say what it all means. There is Soviet military movement in the area, but it's hardly intensive. What there is could be part of routine maneuvers, but the maneuvers have been going on an unusually long time. Bert Quint, CBS News, Biała Podlaska, Poland.
A lot of us in the Friendly Skies grew up in Hawaii. We make our homes here. And with United's condominium vacations, you can too. Come live on the 9th Green at Wailea, or make your backyard on the ocean. Go native in a jungle hideaway. Get a place for the two of you, or a house full of you, at a price you can afford. Even if it's only for a week, make your home in our little corner of the world.
Fly to Friendly Skies.
Ask your travel agent for United's Privacy in Paradise brochure.
I like having lots of horses, and I got them from Sears. Sears' new bold breed of lawn and garden tractors, up to 24 horsepower for most every purpose. Designed to ride smooth and handle easy. Even priced so big horsepower makes good horse sense.
Now save $100 to $500 on these bold breed models. Save $120 on this 10-horse lawn tractor, now $849. For power and performance, you can count on Sears.
As we mentioned just a moment ago, the president had some fever today, but his doctors called it commonplace and it subsided. Bill Plant has our report on that.
The White House released one picture taken early this afternoon of a smiling President Reagan walking in the hospital corridor with his wife. It is the first picture of Mr. Reagan released since Monday's attack. His doctors said the president was feeling good this morning, despite a temperature of 102 degrees, which dropped this afternoon to just under 99 degrees. Mr. Reagan's three top aides, Michael Deaver, Edwin Meese, and James Baker, arrived for the first of several visits shortly after 7 this morning. Baker reported that the president smiled when told of the 88-10 Senate vote for his budget yesterday and said, "That's tremendous." Mr. Reagan also saw Secretary of Defense Weinberger, Secretary of State Haig, and Vice President Bush. Haig was asked afterward about the reported confusion which surrounded his taking control Monday afternoon in the White House Situation Room.
I think the whole team performed magnificently, and I think the American people were well served by the team.
Presidential Counselor Edwin Meese, in a speech later, again stressed the administration contention that too much had been made of the differences between the men in the Situation Room Monday.
There was not 1 second where it wasn't clear who was in charge. There wasn't one moment where there wasn't somebody who had the responsibility and the authority to carry out every governmental process that might have been needed and to react to any emergency that might occur.
At a news conference this afternoon, the doctors who operated on the president traced the path of the bullet through his body. They said that the .22 caliber slug, which was flattened to the size of a dime, could have ricocheted off another surface, and that it appeared to be intact. Until this morning, Mr. Reagan had had virtually no fever, and the doctors believe it was caused by the healing of the lung rather than by an infection.
His recovery to date has been remarkable. And viewed from that context, you'd have to say that this is a little bit of a setback.
Will Mr. Reagan's age slow down the healing process? The doctors say no.
He probably, for a period of 2 or 3 weeks, will tire fairly easy with prolonged effort, and will have to have periodic rest periods. Beyond that, I think it's just a matter of how fast he wants to rehabilitate himself. His wound will be, for all intents and purposes, healed probably by 4 weeks out from the operation. Might still hurt him a little bit, but otherwise I think he'll have a full range of activity.
In the executive office building, staffers sorted through an estimated 16,000 cards and letters from well-wishers. Today's mild setback may delay Mr. Reagan's return to the White House by a day or two, but doctors still expect him to leave the hospital early next week. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
Dr. Aaron, the surgeon who operated on President Reagan, confirmed today that the president was bleeding at, quote, an alarming rate. When he reached the hospital, Mr. Reagan lost about half his blood supply during the wounding and surgery, but it was quickly replaced. And the FBI has disclosed that the bullets used in the assassination attempt were of a special kind and that they could cause complications for the president's recovery. The bullets were designed to explode on impact. They were made for skyjack marshals to reduce the chance of puncturing the fuselage of a plane if they had been fired there. More on this from John Ferrugia.
The FBI confirmed today the bullets were of a type that contain a charge designed to explode upon impact. The .22 caliber hollow point shells were modified to include a small explosive canister. The FBI says identification of the slugs took 3 days because such modification had never turned up in any previous case.
Are you saying the reason you were unable to report this is that the FBI had never seen this particular modification before?
That's correct. Lead azide is the explosive agent in the bullets which is ignited upon impact with a solid object. But the FBI says only one shell is suspected of exploding. That's the one that hit Presidential Press Secretary Jim Brady in the head. The others, including the slug that hit President Reagan, malfunctioned. But that may have created another problem for the president. It is not yet clear whether the lead azide leaked into his lung, and the FBI says it may take a week to find out.
We cannot tell at this time if there is, based on the examinations we've conducted to date.
Would it be hazardous? Were it there?
I don't know. It depends on the results of our ongoing testing as to whether or not we felt that the canister, this little canister we speak of, was intact at the time the bullet struck the president.
The bullets were modified in Norcross, Georgia by a company called Bingham Limited. The manufacturer says 90% of the shells were sold to law enforcement agencies as they were designed to disable and not to kill. Ironically, production of the bullets stopped over a year ago, in part because of lack of demand by law enforcement agencies. John Ferrugia, CBS News, Washington.
The man accused of the assassination attempt, John Hinckley Jr., is undergoing sanity tests at a federal prison in North Carolina tonight. His parents visited him today. They arrived under escort of state police. Hinckley is in an 8-room psychiatric unit under constant surveillance and heavy guard. A spokesman said he is by himself and he is not within sight or earshot of other inmates. The Associated Press said today that it was mistaken in its identification of John Hinckley in a photo of a Nazi rally in St. Louis. The man shown was someone else. The picture was used on this broadcast Wednesday. The White House today took the extraordinary step of going out of its way to emphasize that Secretary of State Haig has, quote, the full confidence of the president. But even as this new praise was being heaped on him, Haig found himself embroiled in still another controversy. Phil Jones has that story.
Informed sources tell CBS News that the French ambassador to Washington met with Secretary of State Haig on Friday to indicate that his government was thinking about selling 600,000 tons of grain to the Soviet Union, but that no final decision had been made and that France wanted to know what the U.S. was going to do about its grain embargo. The information that has reached Agriculture Department officials and some members of Congress is that Secretary Haig indicated in that meeting that the U.S. would have no objection to such a sale. However, CBS News has learned that Secretary Haig denies making any comment either way. Haig claims he took the matter directly to the president and that the president told him to tell the French to wait until Monday. Because of the events on Monday, this matter is still unresolved. There are two potentially touchy matters involved in this case. One involves a NATO ally possibly undermining the U.S. grain embargo if such a sale does occur. And two, how did the Secretary of State handle it? Did he act alone, as some are claiming, or did he in fact take it to the president, as he claims? Phil Jones, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Haig's expected to leave Washington tonight on a 10-day trip to the Middle East and Western Europe. The Middle East stops are at the top of his agenda because of American concern over an increasing Soviet presence in that area. More on that from Tom Fenton in London.
Secretary Haig's first stop is Cairo. President Sadat, who is also worried by the Russian threat, wants American weapons for an Egyptian army mostly equipped with aging Russian arms. He's willing to offer the United States bases in return, although Sadat prefers to call them facilities. Egypt could become a staging area for America's rapid deployment force. In Israel, Haig will meet Prime Minister Menachem Begin, who is likely to be voted out of office in June. No new moves to resolve the key issues of Jewish settlements on the occupied West Bank and Palestinian autonomy will be possible until after the Israeli elections. In Jordan, Haig will find the durable King Hussein interested in cautiously entering the Arab-Israeli peace process, but waiting to hear what America has to offer. Haig seems to have little interest in the Arab-Israeli dispute. The greatest Middle East issue for him is the Soviet threat to the West's oil supplies. Soviet ships are already at the entrance to the Persian Gulf. Soviet planes in Afghanistan are only minutes from the oil fields. Haig wants to line up anti-communist allies along the Soviet Union's southern flanks. The likely candidates read like a who's who of military dictators: Zia-ul-Haq of Pakistan, Saddam Hussein of Iraq, and the cabal of generals who run Turkey under martial law. But the key to the region's security lies in Saudi Arabia, last and most important stop of his trip, and the source of more than a fifth of America's imported oil. The Saudis have become the world's biggest buyers of American arms, including 62 sophisticated F-15 warplanes. Their American-trained forces are at best capable of maintaining internal order. The Saudis have no illusions that they could defend their oil fields from an external threat. They accepted early warning planes from the Carter administration, but opposed suggestions by Reagan administration officials that American bases on Saudi soil would provide greater protection. That, the Saudi royal family believes, would provoke Russia and stir up internal dissent. Where the Reagan administration sees the Middle East in East-West terms, the Saudis see a multitude of threats, internal and external. Haig will probably be told that the Saudis want to be protected by America from an external threat, but not too closely. The Saudis prefer a rapid deployment force somewhere over the horizon. They'll be reluctant to accept any closer arrangement with an America that has shown neither the will nor the capability to project its power into an area that is vital to America's economy. Tom Fenton, CBS News, London.
Defense Secretary Weinberger is also scheduled to leave late tonight on a week-long trip to Britain, West Germany, and Italy. He will try to convince U.S. allies there that they should go along with the NATO agreement to station new medium-range missiles on their soil.
Starting now, only one traveler's check offers you exclusive new services that protect more than just your money, because lots of things can go wrong on a vacation.
We have no money, no traveler's checks, no credit cards, nothing.
Shouldn't we get back to the hotel?
We just came from there.
Do we know anybody here?
Not a soul. Lots of things can go wrong on a vacation. That's why American Express introduces the best vacation protection of any traveler's check. Now, if you lose your credit cards and ID along with your traveler's checks, American Express will help you cancel your credit cards, issue you a temporary ID, even cash a check for up to $200. And if the loss affects your travel plans, you'll have our travel service at your service 24 hours a day. Only American Express offers all this extra protection at no extra cost. So be sure you ask for American Express traveler's checks. Now they protect more than just your money. Now they help protect your vacation.
Inflation rate went up again last month. The wholesale price index jumped 1.3% in March, the sharpest monthly increase since July. Ray Brady has our report.
Inflation is hitting with a 1-2 punch. Not only were wholesale energy prices up sharply for the 5th straight month, with gasoline racing ahead 7.5%. Food prices, which have not risen since November, are starting up again, rising 0.8% in March. Wholesale prices for fresh and dried vegetables were up more than 19% last month, including steep increases for tomatoes, potatoes, sweet corn, and onions. It all adds up to a big jump in the annual wholesale inflation rate, which had been holding steady this year. Agriculture experts blame the weather and cutbacks by growers for part of the food price hike. Economists are warning that the full effect of last summer's drought has not yet appeared at the supermarket. That will come later this year, they say, when smaller herds are expected to bring another sharp increase in the price of beef and other meats. Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
Incidentally, the Labor Department reported today that the nation's unemployment rate was 7.3% in March. That's the same as the month before. When the nation's soft coal miners went on strike last week, some analysts said the effects might be less severe than anticipated because the industry had stockpiled supplies. Well, today, as a result of the strike, the Norfolk and Western Railroad sent home 1,500 maintenance workers because the company claimed the strike left them nothing to do. The United Mine Workers laid off 125 employees because they are paid from union dues, which are not collected during a strike. And West Virginia's Governor Jay Rockefeller ordered a state hiring freeze and a 10% across-the-board budget cut because he said the strike is costing the state $16 million in lost tax revenues. The last 10 days of the month were good ones for Chrysler and General Motors. Chrysler sales were up 7% over the same period last year. GM sales were up almost 28%, but Ford sales were off almost 3.5%. The stock market down today.
Would you be able to pick up this pan?
No, that hurts in here.
An actual arthritis minor pain flare-up.
Just hurts, period.
Here are regular strength tablets used mostly for headaches, and one with 50% more pain reliever, and it's double buffered. Pick one.
Arthritis pain formula.
It works for hours. Try it. Remember this pan?
It does not hurt when I pick it up. I can pick that pan up now. And I could not pick it up before. I am going to buy arthritis pain formula. It's great.
It's a home, but it's like no other home. A place you're proud to be and to be from. 'Cause it's your home, and it's like no other home.
At Gallery of Homes, we try to make sure that the people who see your home will love it as much as you do.
This is Abby and Tom Evans. Come in.
Gallery of Homes knows there's no place like your home.
The founder of Pan American World Airways, Juan Trippe, died today at the age of 81. He had started the company in 1927 with 5 planes. He pioneered transocean passenger flying and played a big part in introducing jet planes to air travel. On April 15, 1975, a 21-year-old New Jersey woman named Karen Ann Quinlan slipped into a coma of undetermined cause. The case generated international attention. It spawned a celebrated court case. It raised divisive moral and legal questions. It is a continuing tragedy today, but as Bernard Goldberg reports, it is also a love story.
Every day, rain or shine, Julia Quinlan visits her daughter Karen Ann's bedside, even though Karen Ann Quinlan has been in what is believed to be an irreversible coma since 1975.
I brush her hair, I talk to her, we have a radio in the room, we play music for her. And I believe that you should do everything possible for someone you love, not because they can hear you or see you, but because you love them.
Usually when I talk to her, I explain to her again that she's very close to God. She's completely in God's hands.
It was 5 years ago this week that Julia and Joseph Quinlan won their New Jersey Supreme Court battle to have the respirator keeping their daughter alive disconnected. The Quinlans said they wanted nature to take its course. The doctors argued that once off the machine, Karen Quinlan would die. But today, she is still alive, breathing on her own, though doctors say hopelessly brain damaged in a vegetative state.
For some reason in our American society, we never face the reality that we are all going to die someday. And since this has happened to Karen, and because of the Supreme Court decision, there has been a lot of talk about death and dying.
Much of the talk has been in state legislatures. Since the Quinlan decision 5 years ago, 10 states have passed so-called right to die with dignity laws, allowing people to say in advance that they don't want to be kept alive by extraordinary means. 18 other states and the District of Columbia are debating similar proposals this year. The legal experts are lined up on each side.
What the machines do is they give the appearance of life where none exists. But with the Quinlan case, we realized that death need not be the enemy. Death could be a friend.
But critics warn that poorly written right-to-die laws might encourage euthanasia, mercy killing.
If the standards by which medical treatment may be terminated is not very, very carefully drawn and followed by the medical profession, the legalization of euthanasia could follow.
Karen Ann Quinlan turned 27 on Sunday, almost certainly unaware of that fact, unaware that her parents observed that day, as they do every day, at her bedside.
When I say goodnight to my other 2 children, when I visit Karen, I say goodnight to Karen, too. She's still my daughter, and I still love her. And I'll continue to visit her and say goodnight to her for as long as she lives.
Lloyd Nolan for Super Polygrip.
I've used Super Polygrip for 5 years now. I don't need this grip.
Cut, but Lloyd...
Listen, it's murder when you get seeds stuck under your dentures like this. Ouch! Now watch Super Polygrip. It helps form a seal between your dentures and gums.
Occlusive seal, Lloyd.
Helps keep food out, dentures in. Simple.
Extra holding formula.
The packet says that. Super Polygrip helps keep food out, dentures in.
No other car offers it, foreign or domestic, only Cadillac. It's the exclusive new V8 6.4 fuel injection, the standard gasoline engine for all 1981 Cadillacs. As you start out, all 8 cylinders are in operation. As power needs lessen, the car automatically goes to 6 cylinders and then to 4 cylinders. When you need it, it instantly reverts to 8 cylinders again. Test drive V8 6.4. Only your Cadillac dealer has it.
This is the time of year that people go to Washington to see the cherry blossoms, to show their kids the White House, the Capitol, the Supreme Court, the Smithsonian. But in the space of 5 days, some new sights have been added to the standard tour. Bruce Morton reports.
Spring shone perfect here today, 100 on a scale of 1 to 10. The tourist buses and the tourists were out, the cherry blossoms were out, the lovers too. But there are new numbers in Washington's annual springtime show. The buses stop or slow at George Washington University Hospital. Yes, that's the one. Yes, he's in there. A suite, I heard. A crowd waits outside, snacking during the slow moments, cameras up and working as the limousines come and go. Yes, she's in there now. If we wait, maybe we'll see her. Click. There she is. The crowds file past the Washington Hilton, too. They see the bullet hole in a window across the street. They point and ponder. Yes, he must have been about here. Shots must have come from there. They take pictures. Click. I must be standing just about where he stood. Click. It must have happened about this way. Click. I'll take your picture. Click. And you take mine. Well, it's natural. It was history. People want to see and stand and be seen where history was made. It is another monument of a sort. It's natural, but there's a sadness to it. A president who wanted to make us feel better about the country got shot, and so we don't feel better. Maybe next year we'll be luckier. Maybe next year the cherry trees and the lovers can have the lovely springtime to themselves. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Washington.
That's the news. Dan Rather still has a touch of that laryngitis, but he is much improved. We expect him back here Monday. I'm Bob Schieffer, CBS News, New York. Good night.
This is clear, solid lucite. Tough, durable, made by DuPont to last. Wouldn't it be great if a paint gave you this? Lucite wall paint does. The same basic ingredient in solid lucite is a key ingredient in liquid lucite. So it's tough, durable, made to wash easily, made to last. Lucite, the long-lasting paint based on a solid idea from DuPont. Now save $3 to $5 or more on lucite at participating stores.
Say goodbye to super strong glue that's a pain to open. No. That's messy to use.
Oh, no.
That clogs up.
Come on.
Say hello to Elmer's Wonder Bond Plus with this exclusive tip. Twist, it's open. To put one drop of glue right where you want it, even on the head of a pin. And this special plug helps keep our tip clog-free. Get Elmer's Wonder Bond Plus and new Wonder Bond Plus for wood and leather. And stick with a name you can trust.
This has been the CBS Evening News, with Bob Schieffer substituting for Dan Rather. Tomorrow on 30 Minutes, see a sensitive film produced by Chicago high school students, VD, Less an Illness Than an Attitude. This is CBS.
Vanderbilt basketball head coach Richard Schmidt is forced to resign, and the biggest pot bust